This is a presentation of the project GPU Register File Virtualization by Abhishek and myself. The main idea in this project is adopted from a paper with the same title that was published in the Micro Conference in 2015. In this presentation, we will first explain the key ideas of this paper and then explain our adaptations and the implementation details. Finally, we will present the results obtained by evaluation using GPGPUSIM. GPUs rely on massive thread level parallelism to hide the memory access latency. To support the thread context of these parallel threads, GPUs tend to use a large register file. Due to the large size of this register file, it tends to be highly power consuming. In order to quantify this, we have a figure in the slide that shows the power breakdown of different components in a GPU. From this figure, we can see that the register file is the second most power hungry component in a GPU after DRAM. In practice, several registers in this large register file remains unused during execution. The second figure in the slide shows the fraction of live registers that are recorded during different points in the execution time. And we can see that in most of these workloads, only about 50% of the registers are used. 100% utilization is only achieved in highly parallel workloads like vector add. So, based on this observation, we explored the possibility of reducing the size of register file while maintaining the same amount of thread level parallelism. A register lifetime is defined as the time from when a new value is written into the register until the last use of that register value. From our motivation slide, we have already established that the number of these live registers at any point in time could be much fewer than the total number of registers that are used in the kernel. Now, in a GPU, a set of registers are allocated to a warp, and these registers are not released until all of the warps in a CTA of which this warp belongs to complete execution. So, because of this, a register that is live in one warp may be dead in another. So, a compiler optimization may not be applicable in this scenario because the warps are scheduled to execute in different points in time. The figure here shows opportunities for register sharing across warps. The figure on the left shows a register with short lifetime. So whenever a register is dead, that register can be renamed and reallocated to a different warp which is scheduled to execute in a different point in time. The figure on the right similarly shows a long lifetime register. This can be proactively released at the end of its life. In this project, we have considered three scenarios to decide when to release a register. The first scenario is a basic code block. Here, the reads and writes to a register A are shown. We can see that during the useful lifetime of register A, it is being read multiple times. And then there is a dead period of register A when it remains unused. Then a new value is written to that register. So ideally, the best point to release the register is after its last useful read. However, in our project, we wait until a new value is written to that register before we release that register. The second scenario we have considered is a basic loop. Within a loop iteration, if the last operation that is performed on the register is a read, we can release that register as soon as the read operation is performed. However, if the last operation is write, we cannot release that register because the value will be read in the next iteration. So we wait until the entire loop completes execution before we can release that register. In a scenario where a loop is completely contained within an outer loop, which is the nested loop scenario, we wait until the outer loop completes execution before we can release this register. In a GPU, each warp has its own set of dedicated registers. We refer to these registers as architected registers. Typically, each of these architected register has a corresponding location in a physical register file. Using register file virtualization, what we intend to accomplish is that we want to map this architectural register file space to a smaller set of physical registers. So we achieve this by using a renaming table. Whenever there is a dead physical register, we release it and then we reallocate it to a different architecture register by renaming.
Now we'll be going over a brief overview of the implementation scheme for this project, listing out the major modifications to the GPGPU SIM. Our modifications to the GPGPU SIM can be split into two major blocks. Firstly, the PTX assembler has been modified to extract register lifetime information from the kernels of PTX code that will be executed by GPGPU SIM. This lifetime information is embedded within the function info object generated by it. Secondly, we have implemented a register renaming table, which implements a mapping scheme between architectural and physical registers. This table is local to each shader core and services all the register reads and writes that happen within the shader. So GPGPU SIM uses this renaming table along with the register lifetime information coming from the function simulator in order to implement the virtualization layer. Our modifications to the PTX assembler are as follows. We have added code to identify register reads and writes within every instruction. This information is used to extract register lifetimes for all the registers used within a kernel. With the lifetime information, we adjust for branches and loops that exist within the code, and then compile last read markers by tagging the instructions where an operand is read for the last time. All this information is embedded within the function object generated by the PTX assembler. Once the function simulator starts executing the code, it flows through the PTX exec instruction function. There, the same info that was generated by the PTX assembler is used to track each operand read and write. We trigger a rename table lookup for every operand that is read or written. That means there can be up to 3 read lookups and 1 write lookup per instruction. All this is logged in order to generate user statistics that we use later in our results. After an instruction is executed, we check for the last read flag bit that might indicate that one of the operands, any of the up to 3 operands, is the last instance where that register will be read. If there is a last read, that indicates the register is dead, and we trigger a register release within the hardware model. We have modified the GPGPU SIM hardware model to include a renaming table. It handles every operand read and write that is executed by the function simulator. In case the function simulator executes an operand write, it triggers a lookup of the rename table. If a mapping from architectural to physical registers already exists in the rename table, it simply returns that mapping. If a mapping doesn't exist, which happens in case that architecture register has never been written to yet by the kernel, then the table goes ahead and acquires a physical register and allocates an entry within the table and stores this mapping for the architecture register to the physical storage space. Every operand read also triggers a lookup of the renaming table. Once the complete instruction has been executed, we check the register lifetime information in terms of the last read flags that might have been set for any of the 3 operands being read by the instruction. If it is a last read for the architecture register, then the renaming table returns the physical register to the physical register pool and deletes the corresponding entry. All these modifications come together to implement the register file virtualization scheme within GPGPU SIM. We have compiled GPGPU SIM and executed the Rodinia 2.0 benchmarks on them and come to this following results.
We will now present the results based on the evaluation using GPGPU-SIM. The first result is the peak live register count. The baseline of this result is the number of architecture registers used by different workloads. By using the register file virtualization, we have managed to map these architecture registers to a smaller set of physical registers. On an average, we have achieved a 68% reduction in the register requirement across workloads. Now, looking at the size of rename table used for register file virtualization, we can see that a register renaming table of size 1 KB is sufficient for almost all the workloads except a backprop and heart wall. We have reported the register file area benefits here. We could obtain these benefits because we have managed to reduce the register file size by using the register file virtualization method. There is a minor overhead due to the renaming table, but it does not affect the benefits significantly because the size of the renaming table is much smaller compared to the physical register file size itself. To get the estimate of area, we calculated the number of bytes of values in baseline as well as in the RFV register file, along with the bytes of value in the renaming table. On an average, we have managed to get 65% area benefit across the workloads. Finally, we report the energy benefits using the register file virtualization method. The baseline here is evaluated using the default register file size, which is larger than the reduced register file size obtained using RFV method. Because of its larger size, the reads and writes to the baseline register file consume comparatively higher energy. This is the same for the leakage energy as well. The energy estimates are obtained by profiling the number of reads and writes to the register file and to the renaming table. The read and write access energy as well as the leakage energy are determined using cacti. Despite the energy overhead due to the renaming table, we obtain about 16% benefit across all of the workloads.